Happy Easter, everybody. We have a Bible study this morning for Easter, even though we wouldn't normally have Bible study today. Since we're doing it this way, we decided to just go ahead and have a Bible study since we've got the Easter Sunday Bible study as our Bible study today. The title of this week's study is A Living Truth. And our Bible truth that we're focusing on is that Jesus rose from the dead. And that's what we're celebrating today. Our Bible verse is the Lord has risen, Luke 24:34. And our learner goal for today's study is I can consider what the specific events of the resurrection narrative mean for God's people, both in the narrative and today. So our first question, our opening reflection is, have you ever witnessed something truly unbelievable? If so, what was it and what has it meant for you? Stop and pause the video and think about that and maybe discuss it if you're with other people that you can discuss it with. I was thinking about this question and I really couldn't come up with anything. So I'd love to hear your stories if you just want to comment on this on Facebook, or if you have my number and you want to message me. I'd love to hear what unbelievable things that you've witnessed. I mean, like birth of children and things like that are miraculous, but I mean, we know that they're happening. It's hard to think of something completely unbelievable. So I guess the one I think of is when I was a kid, I loved to watch, I can't remember the guy's name, David Copperfield, is that his name? The magician, do things on TV. And I always thought those were pretty unbelievable. So stuff like that magicians do, I guess, is what I would think of. But again, I'd love to hear what you thought of for this question. We are going to be in Matthew 28 today. So I'm going to start reading Matthew 28, 1 through 4. Now, after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. And for fear of him, the guards trembled and became like dead men. Now, as you recall from last week's study, we had heard about the guards being sent to watch the tomb because the leaders were nervous that Jesus's followers were going to come and take away his body. And here we have them. I just love this, that they tremble and fall over, pass out because of their fear in this situation. Here's your reflection question. Brainstorm all the ways in the text that God reverses the expectations of the women and breaks down barriers in this account. And what does this show us about the importance of Jesus's resurrection? So you probably noticed, like I said about the guards, that the guards were supposed to be there protecting the tomb from people coming to take Jesus's body away. That would have been something that would have been surprising for them, that the guards fell over afraid. And as I read this this time, I noticed something I haven't even really noticed before. But the angel comes and rolls away the stone, and Jesus is already gone. That's not anything what they would have expected, is for Jesus to be gone. It's not that they roll away the stone and then Jesus walks out. He's already gone. So I think that that's a really important detail to notice because it really shows God's power in his resurrection. Continuing with Matthew 28, verses 5 through 7. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead. And behold, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. See, I have told you." And our reflection question for this section is, why do you suppose the angel spoke the way that he did to the women? What do you suppose is significant about Jesus returning to Galilee to meet with the disciples? So the women probably were terrified also at this point, of seeing the stone roll away and the angel and then the guards pass out. And he says, don't fear. Well, of course, they had some fear right away. Always we see these angels, and the first thing they're saying is, do not fear, because whatever it is that they're doing is so surprising, or unexpected. They come and they see no Jesus there. And the return to Galilee, the notes suggest, signifies a return to the home of the 11 disciples, 11 now because of Judas, and that he's going to reunite them in a special way, in the place where he did most of his ministry. So that was very significant. Matthew 28, 8-10. So they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and said, Greetings! And they came up and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee, and there they will see me. From the text, what is significant about how the Marys reacted when they saw Jesus alive? Why is that, and what does that tell us about who he is? Well, of course, it was significant because they worshiped him right away. They fall down and go to his feet. And Kurt, I couldn't help but think about you on this question, because of Brett's comment years ago about how we know he's not a ghost because ghosts don't have feet. And again, that was just back in their in the time back then, what they believed, about ghosts was that they don't have feet. But my notes point out that we don't know why they fell on his feet, but that could be the reason. It's wanting to point out for us that Jesus was real. He had a real body. They touched his physical body. So that was really important about that. We also notice that he doesn't call the disciples here. He calls them his brothers, and that he's ready to go and restore that relationship that they had, and make it even better. And the final portion of our study today, Matthew 28, 11-15. While they were going, behold, some of the guard went into the city and told the chief priests all that had taken place. And when they had assembled with the elders and taken counsel, they gave a sufficient sum of money to the soldiers and said, Tell people, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. So they took the money and did as they were directed. And this story has been spread among the Jews to this day. So, in your opinion, what purpose might this little side narrative serve in telling the overall narrative of Jesus' resurrection? How might that same purpose apply to God's people today? So I do think that this is a really interesting little side narrative, that the leaders, again, were so worried about what was going to happen that they made up this whole story and paid off the guards to go tell this story. And so the notes that I have say that part of the purpose of this might have been to help the first readers of Matthew's gospel explain why there were so many false rumors going around at the time that Jesus had resurrected, rumors about Jesus' body being stolen. It also hammers home the reality that while Jesus had come back to life after his death, there was still a lot of opposition to this truth by the religious leaders. They did not want to accept that this could be true. So, final reflection, take some time and consider what the specific events of the resurrection narrative mean for God's people, both in the narrative and today. What does this story really mean for you? Especially, I think right now, as we're not celebrating Easter the way that we're used to. It's much less about the fancy dinner and the pretty dresses or nice suits or whatever. And so much more just we're at home and we're with our families, our direct families. And we have time to spend on the word. And I hope that that's something that you've been doing as we have been nearing Easter, and now today as we celebrate Easter as well. Spend some time thinking about what does this really mean for you and the people around you as well. Finish up with prayer. Thank God for his gift of new life that he's given us in this day of Easter. And remember those in need around you. Maybe medical workers, maybe people you know who are just lonely, stuck at home. I have a friend from work who has lost 3 people. She's lived all over the country, so she's knows people all over the place. So she's lost 3 friends to coronavirus. She's having a really hard time. And just all these people that we know who have been affected, maybe directly, maybe indirectly, maybe just the fact that they have to stay home. Keep those people in your prayers today. And again, find a way to share this good news with someone. Maybe make a phone call or send an email or a text or whatever today, just to share the good news of Jesus's resurrection. And have a happy Easter.